Tonight's very special edition of the Sunday Night Talk is up and ready. What happened this Sunday? Well, we talk games, of course. We talk our Sunday. We talk our upcoming holidays. But we spend a lot of time talking about the Tom Cruise rant. In fact, it dominated a good chunk of the show. So much so that we decided to have a very special edition of Tom Cruise Awards for this week in the NFL. So much to get to. Don't forget, hey, if you're new to my YouTube channel, check out Running It Back. That is my other YouTube show on my channel. There is interviews up there. We talk about something new every week. We have a new guest every week too. So there's a window into people, interests, thoughts, experiences, all of it. But tonight, the Sunday Night Talk, myself, Omar Carmona, dive into all that is the week in the NFL and a little bit of our lives too. And it has a Tom Cruise spin on it. The Sunday Night Talk, week 15, right now. All right, we are back. The Sunday Night Talk. It's Sunday night. It is 7:34 on the West Coast. We're kind of midway through the fourth quarter of the Sunday night game. This week, the Jets win. New England is finally out, and we still know nothing about the NFC East. Omar, how was your Sunday?
You know, it's a long Sunday. My dog woke me up at about 4:30 this morning. It's a new puppy. It's a new Great Dane, so I really can't call it a puppy because it's the size of a Tyrannosaurus Rex. But I've been up since very, very early this morning. But at least I was able to prepare for the show today.
So you are in like dog raising duties, and you were totally solo today with the dog?
Totally solo. Wife and kids were up in Reynosa, New Mexico, and I've had the dog all week to myself, and we're getting along very well. But this morning, she thought it'd be a good idea to wake up at about 4:30, and I haven't been able to go to sleep since.
It almost sounds like a late 80s sitcom. You alone with a new dog.
With a Great Dane.
With a Great Dane of all dogs. Yeah, there's definitely a montage of you walking through the park with the dog, getting tangled up in the leash, having the dog, piss in the flowers while you're talking to the neighbor.
Or every time I prepare like this great sandwich, sandwich and chips, and I have a nice plate for the games, and I turn around because I went to get a drink, and like the sandwich is gone.
Right. The dog's got crumbs on its face. So, yeah, that's your sitcom. That's the sitcom. You and a dog solo.
It could work.
Well, this week, we would be remiss if we didn't bring up this week the infamous, what's going around the internet now, the Tom Cruise rant.
I love it.
Someone who, we've all followed since children. The Tom Cruise rant is just when you think you've figured out Tom Cruise, a new news story to put him back in our heads. And can I thank all the little movie industry heads and movie dorks who found it necessary to rush to his defense and say, oh, he was actually right. Thank you, heroes. That's not the point of this whole thing. It's really tough for the people on the set. Oh, thank you very much for clearing that up so we can defend Tom Cruise.
Right.
When did you hear of the Tom Cruise rant audio?
Obviously I heard about the first time I heard about it was listening to the Howard Stern show, and I guess he had some audio of it, and he was obviously in defense of Tom Cruise. And I think sometimes Tom Cruise gets a bad rap because like we have heard some pretty, whether you agree with him or not, he's very, I guess, passionate about his beliefs, the whole vaccine things, his belief in Scientology, and sometimes the way he defends his position. He comes off, sometimes a little hot-headed, and but I appreciated this rant.
Yeah, Howard Stern was one of the ones where I was thinking like, way to take no angle on this thing. Are you reporting? Are you in the comedy business or not? Think of something funny to say about it. Otherwise, don't just tell me he was right. Think of a bit. Think of something. I hate it when people just take a side, yes or no, and then the story's over. I got to
Right.
ask this. When did Tom Cruise become all of our dads? That was a
Right.
total dad rant.
That
You ever
was a
see?
dad rant.
Yeah. Remember when you would see a dad yelling at another kid in the mall so mad that you would think you were in trouble? That's how
Right.
I felt with the rant. I was like, I must have done something. Tom Cruise is mad at me.
For sure.
That was a great, yeah, excellent rant. And then I wanted, there was one thing I wanted out of the rant. I wanted a just try me. I wanted a just try me out of the rant. We had, you're fired. If you do it again, you're gone. This is serious. I wanted a just try me. Just try me. See what happens. That would have completed the dad trifecta of rants.
There could have been a lot of, I think there are probably a lot of sound bites that could have come out of that.
You know how celebrities now you can buy a celebrity wishing you a happy birthday, or you could say hi to my friend,
Right.
and you can purchase it. There should be Tom Cruise yelling at you cameos now that
Right.
you could buy. You purchase it, you open it up, and it says, if you do it again, you're fired.
Right.
I want it. I'm going to make it my new ringtone. I'm going to make Tom Cruise's rant my ringtone.
That could work. I like that idea. That could work.
Or at least an alarm, because you will wake your ass up for the Tom Cruise rant alarm. I loved it. I also loved that he was yelling through a mask. I love that the mask does not stop him.
Nope, not at all.
He's still going to yell. And then I would venture a guess that the next day on the set, he had a very emotional apology, because I just think that's who he is. He's very emotional. He's always jogging in place. He's super high. And then I say he comes back with an emotional apology the next day that we didn't record per se.
You don't think he stuck to his guns on it?
Oh, I think he stuck to his guns, but I just think his apology was like,
okay,
guys,
hey, sorry, I'm not going to take back what I said, but maybe, okay, I get you.
I still love you, but you know, there's emotional times. I just wanted to say that, we're going to press on, like one of those apologies where they sort of hug it out essentially.
I like it.
I loved it. Tom Cruise, our dad, because we're so used to Tom Cruise riding motorcycles, running in movies, that it kind of took us by surprise that he would kind of yell and reprimand us, I think.
Right.
I say that rant needs to be in the movie. Put that rant in the movie somewhere. That's the Oscar clip.
That would be nice. They should.
Yeah, I say so. Well, let's see, where we're in the game. The Sunday night game isn't over. However, it looks kind of out of hand. We got Cleveland at the Giants. And according to Chris Collinsworth, I think it's over. Chris Collinsworth is still saying that Baker Mayfield is gaining confidence as the game goes on.
Right. It's easy to gain confidence when you're up on the Giants late in the fourth quarter.
Every drive, Chris Collinsworth says Baker Mayfield has more confidence.
You know what? I mean, we saw a great Browns game on Monday night. They didn't get the W like they would have wanted, but they really hung in there. They came back, and so I think the Browns could possibly be a dangerous team. Obviously, the competition from here on out gets a lot tougher for them, but they're going places, and we're gonna talk about some teams that aren't going places later in the show, but. This is a good win for the Browns. They're, a 10-win season now. That's great. That's great for Cleveland football. So they're going to get the win here. It's 20-3. The Giants don't have much of a punch at this point. They scored a field goal in the first quarter. Baker Mayfield's going to throw for 300 and 2 touchdowns, and that's what you need from him. So good job for the Cleveland Browns.
I was a little excited to watch this game when they were breaking down the race for Cleveland, Tennessee, Indianapolis. That's a really fun tie.
Had Cleveland lost this game, they'd be on the outside looking in as good a season as they've been having.
Yeah. So this game had some fun points to it. I like how NBC does that with this guy, Steve Kornicki. They do the election board style breakdown. Like the election was a month and a half ago. We're still going with this election board.
He's becoming a hit.
You like him, huh? I think he needs a wardrobe change. He's wearing these khakis. He's wearing tennis shoes.
He looks like
And
a college intern, which I like. So I think I like the look, and I think he's going to become a superstar.
they're really milking that election style path to the playoffs board.
Yes, they really are.
Yeah. The Giants had a couple interesting tidbits going in here. Number one, Jason Garrett got COVID cornered. So
Right.
he couldn't be on the sidelines. So the tight end coach is calling the offensive plays,
Yes.
which I still don't understand why Garrett just can't be in an isolation booth in the press box or something.
Right.
Maybe he is. I don't know. And then we got Colt McCoy is starting the game instead of Danny Jones. Did you know this? What year would you guess Colt McCoy is in his career? If I just ask you point blank.
You know, it's funny you say that because I was actually thinking about this. I can't believe I would say he's got to be in his 12th year in the league.
He's in his 11th season.
Wow.
This has been a rough few months for me. I turned 40 years old, and then Colt McCoy, I would have guessed it's a sixth season in the NFL, 11th season.
Right.
Like when did this happen? Colt McCoy could have a 13-year-old son or child by now, for all we know. I thought he was a few years out of college in my feeble brain.
Hey, I remember watching him while I was in law school. And, now it's so weird that now I'm seeing him at the tail end of his career when I was an old guy at the beginning of his career. Because, it used to be, athletes. I remember when Shaquille O'Neal was drafted, I was a kid. And then to see him have a full career, then make the Hall of Fame. And then it's like I saw that entire progression, but I started that progression when I was a kid. But now it's like athletes like Colt McCoy who are at the tail end of their career. And I was an old man when it started. So now I'm like a really old man.
Someone needs to write a book, and it's just be the devil's advocate of sports, why sports are terrible. And one of them is age.
That's one reason it ages.
At some point you go like, oh my God, I've experienced this guy's whole career. When I was a kid, I watched some guy retire and someone else had to tell me about the early stages of their career because I didn't know about it.
Or how about that? Yeah, we're going into Super Bowl, 54, 55, something like that?
I think we're 55, yeah.
Okay, so, and now it's like, wow, I've seen now more than half of those, and I can tell you where I saw those games. You know what I mean? It's like, now it's like, I missed only a few Super Bowls.
Yeah. My Super Bowl memory is very hazy at this point. When you're about 12 or 13 years old, your brain soaks up those 7 or 8 Super Bowls in your sort of memory, and
Right.
you know every detail. By now, I'm like, when did the Ravens win when was that the Giants? It's so hazy. This is the devil's advocate of sports is
Right.
you just end up feeling old and you lose your memory.
Yep. Well, that's what it is, man. But anyway.
Here's also what I noticed. Extra points for Chris Collinsworth working in golf again into the telecast with Baker Mayfield's stance. Did you catch that?
Yes, he loves it.
And then Tirico kind of calls him out on it. He's like, anyway, you can work in golf. And then they go to commercial. And I bet Collinsworth was like, don't you ever fucking call me out on the air like that again, Tirico. I'll have your ass booted back to Connecticut.
Yeah, for sure.
At this point, the only interesting, it's still 20-3. I think the only interesting part about the Cleveland game was, did you see when Jarvis Landry catches the touchdown pass and then he gets in the face of the DB and the referee sort of tries to break him up, but the camera's right there in their grill. And we kind of catch the whole back and forth of them sort of yelling at each other and the refs trying to explain the penalty. That's one of those times where I wish we had audio. I was like, just let the audio roll.
And there's no reason why we shouldn't. There's no one in the stands to yell anything inappropriate. So let's hear.
We could bleep it. If it's on a delay, you can bleep it. Let me hear what's going on. It's 20-3.
I'm with you.
Well, we'll update in case this game gets interesting. But let's go to the your game, my game.
What'd you get? What'd you have?
Okay. I didn't hear which game you had, so I prepared 2 just in case. I got I'm gonna do San Francisco at Dallas.
Okay.
At first, this game comes on my CBS West Coast, since I abandoned Red Zone years ago, and I'm like, San Francisco at Dallas. Why do I have this lame game? And then they explained the NFC East and San Francisco battling, and it's a pretty competitive game at first. So I'm like, okay, all right, I'm down with this. Even though I thought it was going to be bad, but this is both a battle, NFC East and NFC West spots. NFC, can I just say NFC East this year is a bad TV series that you have to watch all the way through. It's like the new adventures of old Christine.
Right.
You watch that and you're like, all right, well, I'm 6 episodes in. Let's just finish it. Let's just keep going and see how bad it can be. I know nothing about the characters. I know nothing about these teams, yet they all are still in this somehow.
Right.
I decided to give the San Francisco quarterback a new name. His new name is Nick Almost Intercepted Mullins.
Oh gosh, that was brutal.
Every third pass is almost intercepted from the guy.
You're rubbing it in now. I mean, he was not accurate. He was terrible. He was just absolutely terrible. And the problem that 49ers have with the backup at this point is like, when they come and fill in, they look great. And what I mean by that is Beathard looks great coming in for Nick Mullins. But then
he had to come in for him.
But then you give him the job and it's terrible. Mullins looks great when he comes in for Jimmy G, but then when you give him the job, terrible. So definitely some problems there in San Francisco. It was just a bad game to watch. It wasn't, it was a close game, for the most part until the fourth quarter, but it's a painful day to be a 49er fan today, losing to, although not the same division, but basically our out of division rivals, the Dallas Cowboys. That's just hard.
Mullins has really bad QB body language. He
really
always
does.
looks like he's in trouble. He always looks like he's planning to mess up, or he did something that he's going to get caught for. No one high fives him or anything on the sidelines. He just sits there and sulks. Just horrible body language from the guy.
I agree.
Now, at this point in the season, I'm way into matchups. So San Francisco has the 5th best defense when going up against Dallas, 13th best offense. And yet Dallas really ran up the score on them.
Right.
Then I noticed, because San Francisco did mount a little drive to potentially tie it up when they were down 10. Here's what I've noticed about every important offensive drive at the end of the half or end of the game. There's always a crucial 3rd down call. There's always the need to use timeouts properly. And there's always a BS roughing the passer call on every game winning or important drive. There was one today. There was a BS roughing the passer call. There was a good conversion. And then they finally blew it, the San Francisco 49ers. But I think we should just review those roughing the passer calls, because some of those like blow to the head ones are really, really like light glances. Why don't just review those to make sure this isn't a bonus 15 yards for no reason. But now the Cowboys have a small pulse. And then we got to see a garbage time Hail Mary TD from San Francisco.
Yeah, that looked good.
I love a garbage time TD because they catch it and then they really can't celebrate.
That was something. But 49ers, they're 5-9. Obviously not going to the playoffs this year. But you know what? There's, as we always say, there's always next year. Dallas Cowboys also 5-9, but they're in the thick of things in their division. So
yeah, they have a pulse. I don't know what's worse. You're on the outside looking in. You have a slim chance of the wild card, or you're out of the playoffs entirely 2 weeks ago. I don't know what's the worst thing to have. It seems like both are hell.
Well, but my Niners team's not going anywhere. So moving on from that before I get upset.
Yeah, move on from that. I don't want to upset you. You've been
but on the bright side, I know and I'll give a shout out to one of our viewers, Sergio Weber out in San Diego, California, Niner fan, but I know he's feeling the pain with me this evening. But the game I had, which actually turned out to be real interesting, and it didn't look interesting at first, was Tom Brady just starts off terribly in Atlanta. I mean, it was a terrible start. There doesn't seem to be any rhythm. And then the Falcons the Atlanta Falcons are putting up some points, 17-0 going into the half. And then Tom Brady and Matt Ryan turned into Tom Brady and Matt Ryan. Okay.
That was weird, wasn't it? I didn't watch that game. I watched the highlights of it and I knew the final and I'm watching the highlights and I'm thinking Atlanta loses this game. This is all Atlanta highlights. Atlanta, I think, is the best, worst team of the NFL.
Always, but
All the
always.
worst teams, they're the best.
You know, and maybe now it seems more like miraculous that they got into the Super Bowl that one year against Tom Brady's Patriots. But it's like they just like let it happen. You know, it's these comebacks, and this is I don't know of any team in football that has been the victim of more heartbreaking, crushing comebacks. Now, is it like a heartbreaking like your season's done? No, Atlanta's season has been done already for a few weeks now. But still, it's like it's Tom Brady again.
Yeah.
You know,
This was a mini Super Bowl rematch of Brady
right.
comeback. Atlanta was up 24-7.
Crazy.
And Brady mounts a mini Super Bowl comeback again. This is too much.
Finally hooks up with Antonio Brown. They got their first touchdown. But you know, and then the numbers for Atlanta, they weren't bad. I mean, Calvin Ridley goes for 10 catches, 163 yards and a touchdown. He's a superstar in the making. I mean, Atlanta's got to feel great that they got him to take over Julio Jones's go-to role as Julio's career is progressing, and he's had some injury issues. But it was heartbreaking for Matt Ryan. And again, I said this before, I think it's time that both Matt Ryan and the Falcons mutually they need a clean break on things at this point. But they need to move on from each other.
That was it's been rough all year for them.
Right. Speaking of rough games, I mean, we go to Lions at Titans. Titans aren't blowing them out, but then we get to the fourth quarter. The Titans outscore the Lions 22-7 in the fourth. Henry's running crazy, runs for 147 yards. Tannehill has 5 touchdowns. Okay, three in the air, 2 rushing. I mean, has a great game, and they end up putting 46 on the Lions. But again, that's another team that now I think it's time that Stafford and the Lions consider life away from each other.
Yeah, that was a good coming out party. Tennessee back on track big time.
Big time.
Derrick Henry has the huge stiff arm that we're going to see for the next
now doesn't it seem like now he's doing that every week though? Like there's just some nickel DB that comes in and it's just like, get out of my way.
It's his move. It's so his move. And I don't know why DBs subject themselves to that. Like, just go low and hope for the best.
Right.
That was good. How about the game of the week though, or game of the day had to be that KC New Orleans matchup. Breeze is back.
That was surprisingly good. I didn't think the Saints were going to be as competitive as they were. But that's still, I still think the Chiefs should be the odds-on favorites and they're going to repeat, in my opinion. They're going to repeat. But they're a good team. But surprisingly, hey, New Orleans was in it. Drew Brees tried, and it's funny to see this progression now. Now Drew Brees does seem more like a game manager. His numbers aren't as gaudy as they used to be. Obviously, I don't think he has the targets this year like he's had in other years. But hey, they made a game of it, and hats off to them. 32-29, Chiefs over the Saints.
Brees' stats were 15 of 34, 234 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. He had one really good drive, which made me forget about the whole first half.
Right.
And I was thinking, like, he doesn't look injured at all. He's sharp. He's hitting people. But then I went back, it's like, oh no, it took him a while to get back to normal. So I didn't see any injury from him. And then here's the matchup. New Orleans is the second best D versus KC, number 1 offense. So that was an interesting matchup. And then KC has this play where Mahomes does a sprint out and it cannot be stopped. He sprints out from the pocket. He either hits the tight end, he either goes down the field. It's unstoppable. And then I watch New Orleans and they have this sort of swing out running back pass to Kamara, which is equally unstoppable. and yet they forget about Kamara for like almost the whole third quarter.
Right. Which
They
doesn't make
really
any sense.
don't utilize him. Not to mention Taysom Hill wasn't in the game plan at all.
Right.
So I couldn't figure out the really overall game plan, yet they were kind of in this game the whole time. So that was sort of tricky. I couldn't totally figure out their offensive plan, but the one drive I was like, Breeze is back.
Right.
No problem with Breeze. But the first half I was like, oh no, Breeze sucks.
Yeah.
So he tricked me. He tricked me into thinking he was good. And then with that game, I think Andy Reid has perfected the fat guy look at this point.
Oh,
Andy Reid,
he
knows how to wear stuff.
He's perfected that, I think, since Philadelphia. So yeah, he's always spot on with that.
He wears this like red poncho now. Like it's below his waist. You don't tuck it in, nothing. It's just this huge poncho. It could almost be a robe.
Right.
And that's his look. And then he wears this tiny mask. I don't get why he goes tiny mask, huge red poncho.
Right. Well, and speaking of, I will say, the Saints, I think they did a real good job considering. I mean, I know it's 32 points, but they did a good job defensively, I think. Now, the trick is, obviously to beat the Chiefs is you got to get the ball out of Mahomes' hands. And there's one team that I think that can possibly do that this year, and I think that's the Bills. They were dominant on Saturday night against the Broncos. They win 48-19 to improve to 11-3, their first division title since 1995. So,
wow.
I think that the Bills stand the best chance to get, the trick to beat. It's not a trick, but if you want to beat the Kansas City Chiefs, when it's third down, you got to get Mahomes off the field. You got to make that big third down stop. You gotta make them punt. I mean, it just seems like, it's third down and you don't know what these defenses don't know what to play. Are they going to play the rush? Are they going to play the pass? Because Mahomes can, he'll go back, he'll drop back. He looks around, does his reads, does his progressions, and then he just takes off running. How are you going to beat that?
He's got the extra ability to take 5 or 6 steps, get more time, get more distance, and the receivers are going to uncover at some point. I thought the Saints had a shot when they crunched Mahomes really good. One guy got him from behind, one guy got him in the front. They crunched him. He fumbled the ball. And then Mahomes goes to the sideline, and he's like a boxer in the corner. He's got both his arms up on the bench, and he started taking some deep breaths. I was like, I thought maybe they had a shot, but he recovered. He answered the bell, and then just sort of ended the game, got a couple first downs. He sort of took a 10-9 round loss after that sack as if it were a boxing match, and then recovered and just pummeled the Saints after that.
Right. But
let's speed through this one. Sorry, did you have something else to say?
No, that's what I'm saying. And I think the Bills can do that. I think they have a team that could control the ball for extended periods of time, and I think that that could pose a threat to the Chiefs. So we'll see what happens.
Let's speed through this one. Thursday night, the Chargers put my Raiders finally out of their misery, and we are totally eliminated from playoffs Thursday night. The Chargers have this drive at the end of the game. I think they have to go like 90 yards, and they do it like in 5 plays. And they end the game. The Raiders go home. Like, I wish this happened 3 weeks ago, and I could stop watching the games with intent.
Right.
Derek Carr goes out with an injury. We root for the backup Mariota because he's playing good. And then you remember, like, oh no, we're going to find a way to lose here. The Chargers are due. They're going to find a way. We were the defense that we beat of the Jets 2 weeks prior.
Right.
And they're like, oh man, Raiders are going to lose. It's going to take a miracle. Oh no, it's a defense of the Jets. We got it.
And how about this? Mariota led that game in rushing. So
that's what happened to our rushing.
That's crazy. But hey, I've said it before. I'm not going to dwell too long on it. Justin Herbert, superstar in the making. And then Raiders, Darren Waller, superstar in the making.
Waller's another one that has bad body language. He always looks like he doesn't really know if he did good or bad.
Yeah. But speaking of those other earlier games, although it was close at the end, but it really wasn't. The Panthers lose to the Packers 24-16. Packers go on. Packers looking like they're it looks like the road to the Super Bowl is probably going to have to go through Green Bay this year out of the NFC. And so that always bodes well for them. Nobody wants to play, whether there's a crowd or not. Nobody wants to play in Lambeau in January.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how that goes. But a big win. Packers taking another step closer to wrapping up that first round bye.
That's a nice feeling. You wrap up the division, the bye on Saturday, and all the fans can just lay back easy all Sunday long.
Right.
Kind of like finishing your homework Friday and the rest of your weekend is free.
Right.
So jealous. Houston at Indy. Indianapolis wins. Houston blows it at the end with a fumble. I didn't watch this game. I saw the highlights. Indy looking good. Indy keeping pace.
And don't look now, they're 10-4 as well. So
they're in that tie. They're in that three-way potential tie. Cleveland, Indy, Tennessee, given Cleveland wins tonight. So that was good. Phil Rivers still chugging along. And then secondary story of the day, New England at Miami. New England loses. They're officially out. How about officially out? How about this? Thoughts on Cam's first year as a Patriot? What grade do you give him?
I'm going to give him a B, and I'm going to tell you why. A lot of people come down hard on Cam, but he also doesn't have the targets. And Brady didn't really have the targets his last year in New England either. But Cam doesn't have the targets either. So I don't think that his team was put and again, as we see these, things are so cyclical and whatnot. But, I think that New England needs to spend the offseason really looking into, how are they going to help Cam. I don't think they need to move away from Cam, but you're going to have to get him some weapons.
I give him a C, solid C. Couple good games. Still looked injured to me in a few games. So I give him a C. And in Miami, I still wouldn't want to play Miami. I got this weird Tebow-like feeling with Tua. Like, it's going to look ugly, but he's going to find a way to beat you in that first round of the playoffs. And he's going to be a hard out the second round of the playoffs as well.
Yep.
And the Miami tight ends catching balls, breaking tackles, back bouncing off of people.
Right.
Tight ends are dangerous on Miami too. Next game. It pains me to even bring it up that we still have to talk about the Bears. The Bears victorious in Minnesota. The Trubisky comeback tour continues. So they're still mathematically in it. There's still a path.
Isn't it so weird that now we're talking the Bears are 7-7 and the Vikings, who had seemed to come on strong as of late, now they're 6-8. I mean, the fact that the Bears are still in it, crazy, and they're doing it with Trubisky. But again, I'm not expecting much from them. But hey, big win for the Bears.
Yeah, they're still alive. The comeback tour rolls on for Trubisky.
And then for me, the disappointing game, obviously, because I'm a Niners fan and don't like the Seahawks. But the Redskins almost pulled off a big comeback. They were, they scored some points in the fourth quarter, but too little, too late. Seahawks go on and win 20-15. But the Washington, the football team, they're I think they can still win their division. They're obviously still going to be in first in their division. I would like to see the Washington football team win it because I really like Ron Rivera. But let's see what happens there.
Yeah, they really muddled up the NFC East with this loss today.
For sure.
And everybody, I give Russ a new acronym instead of let Russ cook. I say he marinated today.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
What about Jacksonville at Baltimore? Jacksonville, with the loss, moves up in the Trevor Lawrence race.
And with the Jets win, which we're going to get into. So let's talk about this. Jaguars are feeling great because now they got the leg up on the Trevor Lawrence race. And what are the Jets doing winning a football game? I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me at this point to even try to win. Again, and if you're a sports purist, you don't like the idea of teams tanking. I get it. But if you're at a point where this season's lost, you want to put your franchise in the best possible position to show up next year or 2 years down the road. So I don't know what the Jets were doing. Um, uh,
Jets, what are you doing winning games?
yeah, it's gotten like that, But then wow, what the heck happened to the Rams?
I don't know. The Rams might be end up being the biggest question mark of the whole season. The Rams get the Rams are an inconsistent girlfriend award this year. Like it's going great, you're having fun, and then all of a sudden you don't hear from her for 3 days.
Right.
Like, oh, we had fun.
Or she's going crazy on you.
Yeah, yeah. We've all had the one where you make plans and then the girl disappears and then she texts you 8 hours later, pissed drunk. You're like, what the hell happened to you? What happened to this day? So the Rams get the inconsistent girlfriend award for sure. You cannot be trusted, Rams. Can't be trusted. You lose to the Jets and not even close. They just beat your ass.
Right. And then the last game, Eagles at Cardinals, which turned out to be a very good game. 33-26. Kyler Murray goes off, 406 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. DeAndre Hopkins, 9 catches, 169 yards and a touchdown. Cardinals 8-6. Eagles still in the thick of things in the NFC least.
Are they really still in the
They're
Eagles?
technically still alive and well. So, but again, let's see how that plays out in that division.
Cardinals needed this one bad. They needed to get back on track.
They were on a tailspin after that. Yeah, after everyone started singing, their praises, and they went this terrible tailspin. So they getting back on the winning track, great for their franchise. Anyway,
Eagles going full Jalen Hurts mode.
What do you got?
A lot of potential. I liked it.
And then real quick, a side note: Carson Wentz. The news out of Carson Wentz was he doesn't think he's not interested in being a backup. And my thought is, well, if you're not interested in being a backup, don't play like a backup. So I think his time in Philadelphia is just about numbered, because even though they lost today, Jalen Hurts had a pretty good game. So I think
and he's fun. He injects a little energy,
right,
as well. That goes a long way. He might win the best body language from the QB.
He really does. He really has some good body language. So let's see what happens there. But anyway, who'd you get? What are your awards like this week?
Well, I got some questions for you first.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Question number 1. Did the Jets really win? They won the game, but now, like we were talking about, they're losing the tiebreaker with Jacksonville. Should they both lose out for the first pick?
They lost.
So did the Jets really win?
They lost at everything today. I mean, they should not. They had no business winning that game.
I agree. And see, I think the game was on Fox, and they tried really hard to play up the Darnold coming home to LA angle, and nothing worked. That whole game looked ugly. The Rams uniform looked backwards. The Jets were winning by a lot of points. The Jets, did you really win? I think we're in agreement they both didn't win. Question number 2. This year, I forgot about this. We didn't have an overseas game this year. No London game.
COVID, no London.
Right. COVID cornered. We got COVID cornered with the overseas. No London game, no Mexico game. So the question is, 2-part question. Do we really miss these games? And if so, where should the NFL go to play an overseas or out of country game next year?
I think I like the idea of London, because it seems like the Brits really do enjoy hosting the NFL. So I think they should keep a game there. I think a game in Germany would be very much appreciated. Obviously we have a huge military presence in Germany, and when I traveled, when I was in Europe, I thought the Germans were extremely hospitable and extremely nice to foreigners. So I think that would be good. But hey, let's try a game. And I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing I think it'd be interesting to see a game in Africa. I think that'd be really neat. They got some excellent stadiums there that I know would are capable of hosting a game. and I remember there used to be the Tokyo Bowl, and it was a preseason game back when we were kids, and I remember the Niners and Broncos played one year, and it
Mm.
was in Japan. I think that'd be interesting, but I would like to see a little more spread in Europe um, first. But again, maybe a game in Australia. Let's find their most famous rugby stadium, and but like how they have games like at Fenway or Yankee Stadium. Let's find a stadium in Australia. It's the most famous one there, and have a game.
That'd be good. Working it out logistically is obviously the tough part with travel, time change.
Well,
I
I think you
say,
you give you give the team the bye week the next week. Obviously, I think that's what they do. That it's right before the bye
yep,
week, so you give them
that makes sense.
a full, at least 10 days before you have to start thinking of practice for the next game. So yeah, I think that'd be fun.
I wouldn't mind them throwing in the Hawaii game, like the Pro Bowl used to be in Hawaii. I wouldn't mind a Hawaii game. It's not really technically out of the US, of course, but that would be fun once a year. Canada, I think, should be utilized more. It's an easy trip. And I say they just have to go ahead and play on Canadian rules football field with the goalposts in the middle of the field, with the wider fields. I say that you force them to play on the Canadian football field. And then I like the Japan idea. I think that's a cool one.
Yeah,
It's so I think that's a fun idea. So keep the overseas games in the league. It's fun. China would be the obvious go-to next with such a huge market and with China already having a lot invested in the NBA. It wouldn't surprise me if the NFL says, let me try and insert sports into the Chinese market as well. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see next year. They'll be back. The overseas games will be back. So I hope they add some sort of wrinkle to it. Here's my question number 3. Where do you stand on wearing a jersey?
to a game.
Now it's up to you, just in general. What are your jersey wearing rules?
My jersey wearing rules is you my opinion. You got to wear it during the football season because I think it'd be weird to see somebody wearing a jersey like in mid-July. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Um I think you get it uh I think you only wear a jersey during game day.
Yeah, I agree. Unless you're a child can wear the jersey. But
Children can wear the jersey.
if you're an adult, specifically, if you're an adult male and you're wearing a jersey that is not to a game, that's a serious red flag. From the flip side, from the man's perspective, if you're wearing a jersey as a man, you're a red flag. And if you're from the girl's perspective, if you're a girl in your 30s and you have a nose ring, that's your jersey. That's a red flag. If I see a girl with a nose ring in their 30s, red flag. And that's the jersey for the male. You can wear it to a game. I like if you have some affiliation to the player's jersey that you choose too. So like, oh, why are
Right.
you wearing that jersey? Oh, he went to the same college as me. Oh, he's from my same hometown. Oh, I like some affiliation, some thought to the jersey you choose as well.
Right.
But non-game day, don't do it.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Question number 4, back to Cruise. We all know Tom Cruise's film biography. We all know the hits, but what is your least favorite Tom Cruise movie?
Collateral.
What?
I was not a big fan. I just thought the whole, what, maybe it was just seeing him in white hair and as like this, like kind of like uh, a crazy, a very silent killer.
What?
It just didn't.
I cannot believe this. Michael Mann, you didn't like the Michael Mann? Wait, well, hold on. Do you like the movie Heat?
Loved Heat.
And you don't like Collateral? They're the same movie. Only Tom Cruise has gray hair. This is surprising me.
No, I did not like. And I also did not like Minority Report.
Really?
I thought it was weird. I mean, it didn't make. I thought it was weird. Those little aliens. What about you?
Hmm. The obvious choice for me is Rock of Ages. That is not a good movie. However, that's not my pick. My pick is Magnolia. I
Oh,
never got that movie. I thought it was a Paul Thomas Anderson fluff piece. The movie starts in the middle of the movie. It never really comes to anything. It's the movie is put upon us the whole time. It's put upon us. And then of course all the critics have to love it. And I did not love it. It makes no sense. The movie makes no logical sense. At one point, it rains frogs, and I'm like,
yeah,
is this a fantasy movie or is this an art movie, or should I just say fuck it and I just watch it for the performances? Because the
right.
performances are good. John C. Riley is excellent in that, or I'm not sorry, not John C. Riley. Philip Seymour Hoffman is excellent in that movie, and I have no idea what the whole point of that movie is.
Right. I get you.
So
I'm with you on that.
I do not like Magnolia. I don't like it, although it's a good lenses, bad frames type of movie. Okay, my last before we wrap up questions. Here's the division leaders as we sit now. Washington, Green Bay's clinched. New Orleans is up 1 game. Seattle is up 1 game. Do these 3 stay the same in the NFC?
Yes, on all. Yes. Although, if something funny happens, I wouldn't be shocked if by some miracle the Bucks take over the. But you know what? But it doesn't matter, does it? Because I mean, basically, New Orleans just needs to win 1 game. Because I think they have the tiebreaker on on the Bucks. So it's a long shot, but it could happen. It could happen. Drew Brees obviously isn't the same Drew Brees as before, but I still think that the division leaders remain the division leaders.
Okay. In the AFC, Buffalo's clinched. Pittsburgh, Tennessee, and Kansas City is clinched. Pittsburgh and Tennessee, do those stay the same?
They stay the same, but obviously Colts are breathing down the backs of the Titans.
Okay. Now, on to the awards.
Let's do it.
This is the special Tom Cruise edition of the awards. So I have 5 of them. Special Tom Cruise edition awards. Award number 1 from 1992 and A Few Good Men. This is the I Want the Truth Award. And that goes to the Buffalo Bills. After their win, they are the truth of the NFL to me.
I'm going to go with the truth of the NFL is going to be it's the truth is Tom Brady, if he gets into this rhythm, obviously big comebacks at this point are huge. But if you want the truth, it's Tom Brady could stage a great run into the Super Bowl this year.
The Tom Brady Super Bowl run is still in play. You're right.
Still in play. That's the truth.
You're right. All right. Award number 2 from 1983, Risky Business. This is the sometimes you got to say, what the fuck award. And that goes to the NFC East. What the fuck, NFC East?
I can't argue with that, but I want to say that what the fuck Rams, how and what the fuck Jets, 2 teams that I don't know what they were thinking today on the football field. Obviously, Rams trying to win, they didn't, and I think the Jets should have been trying to lose and they didn't. So what the fuck on that one?
That's a good one. The Rams need to be in there. That's true. All right, number 3. This is the from 2005 Jumping on Oprah's Couch Award. I give this one to, after today, Trevor Lawrence. He is no longer in the hot seat to go to the Jets. He's got to be jumping on the couch a little bit. Jags or Jets? Yeah, I wouldn't want to go to the Jets.
Well, but you got to think of it. Is this a business question or a football question? Okay, because there's a difference here. If it's a football question, I think you want to go Jaguars. They have that rookie running back Robinson, who is having a great year by any account. They got some good young receivers there, and so with more consistent play at quarterback, who knows what the Jaguars could have done. I think they're better at they're better at 1-13. I think they're than what their record suggests. I think that it's not a bad 1-13 team. So I think they have the pieces to move forward. When you're the Jets, I mean, you have a 73-year-old running back scoring, a touchdown today in Frank Gore, and shout out to Frank Gore. But I just don't think how you'd want to play football for the Jets. But if it's a business decision, you want to go to New York. You can't compare the Jacksonville market to the New York Jets market. So I think you'd want to go if it's a business decision.
I hadn't thought about the business decision aspect of it.
It's the number one market in the country,
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe he's not jumping on the couch necessarily. Question number 4. This question is from 1986, Top Gun. You've lost that Love and Feeling Award. And that goes to actually 2 recipients this week. Number 1, you've lost that Love and Feeling Award. Odell Beckham Jr., your team is surging. You're not even on the team anymore. And New England and Bill Belichick, you're out of the playoffs for the first time in what feels like 15 years. It's lost.
That's true that. And I'm going to go with you lost that Loving Feeling Award. I hate to say it, Pittsburgh, we were talking about can they possibly run the table, and now they're sputtering. I think, obviously if you look at their calendar now, it's because they've been, if you look at their schedule, they've had weak teams that they've been playing. So I think we've all lost that loving feeling on the Pittsburgh Steelers' chances.
That's true. We were having mini undefeated season talk for a little bit there with the Steelers. How about last award number 5? This is from 4 days ago. Post-game Tom Cruise Rant Award goes to the Las Vegas Raiders coaching staff at the end of that Thursday night game. That was brutal. They went down the field on you in like what felt like 4 plays, and the season was officially flushed down the toilet. I think the coaching staff needs a Tom Cruise rant.
I'm with you on that.
Agree on that. All right. Monday night predictions. We got Pittsburgh at Cincinnati. So this might be a go to bed early game. Pittsburgh is giving 14 points to Cincinnati.
I'll say Cincinnati covers, but it's not going to be a good game.
Yeah, Pittsburgh needs to take a page out of, say, Baltimore's game today and want to blow them out, get back on track sort of thing. Will that happen, though? Because Pittsburgh is they're still in Baltimore's boat. They lost a game. They're kind of reeling. They need to get back on track. So Pittsburgh minus 14. I'll go. Cincinnati's bad.
Right.
Bad. I'll go Pittsburgh to cover.
Yeah. Good call.
Yeah. All right. We're going to close out this week's show with a Tom Cruise line reading. We're going to pick a line from a Cruise movie, and we're going to give our best rendition of it. I got one ready. Do you want to go first, or should I go first?
I'll go.
Okay. Set us up.
One of my favorite lines of all time from a Tom Cruise movie comes from one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Tom Cruise movie of all time. Risky Business, when Joel Goodson says, I got a trig midterm tomorrow, and I'm being chased by Guido the Killer Pimp. That's one of the greatest lines of all time. Tom Cruise, who was with the actor that played Booger in Revenge of the Nerds.
Right. That's right. He is in that movie.
Yeah, and so great movie.
Okay, nice pick. I went with Tom Cruise in Rain Man when he's talking his brother Raymond back to the craps table as he wanders off. Here we go. Ray, what are you doing? We're in the middle of a hot hand here. You don't live in the middle of a hand. Come on. We're hot. We are red hot. The Babbitt brothers kicking ass in Vegas. We got Cleopatra and Caesar over there waiting for you. Come on. Ray, a little 1 for bad, 2 for good. 20. It's going to hit on 20. And scene.
That's pretty good.
I love a good
roulette. What do you say? It's not your game, Ray.
Right. It goes past 20. It's like, it's not your game, Ray. It's not your game. I just lost $3,000, Ray. I'm like, come on. Good rant. Thank you, Tom Cruise, for giving us endless talking points today.
For sure.
The Sunday Night Talk. Omar, good luck with your dog.
Thank you.
See you soon. That is it for the show. The Sunday Night Talk, week 15 in the NFL. More pieces of the puzzle have fallen into place. Yes. A couple more weeks to go in this glorious NFL season. Hey, it's been a long season, but it's been trudging on with it all. I want to thank Omar Carmona. I want to thank Omar's dog for ruining his Sunday morning. I want to thank Tom Cruise and his epic rant. I want to thank the NFL. I want to thank... who else is worthy of thanking today? Oh, I want to thank the Jets for winning a game. And somehow, even while winning, still feeling like they lost. What are you going to do? That is it for the show. Check out my other show, Running It Back, on YouTube. Give it a like. Give it a subscribe. Go back and find your favorite interview. You'll love it. You're going to find something. A Sunday Night Talk comes out every Sunday. We talk about it all. Thank you for listening, everyone. See you next week.